Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Like we are live, so I think we are ready to just dive right in if you guys are, okay?
Yes.
I want to start out with just a couple of proposals. For you guys.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The first one is Article 5, Union Business and Representatives. 5.6, we are agreeing to the language in your most recent proposal for the bank of union pool time to be rolled over up to 50 hours a year, may be rolled over for a bank not to exceed 150 hours.
We're ready to TA on that. Good. We're ready to TA on that.
Awesome. Okay, so
Yes.
we can TA Article 5. In Article 16, resignation, we've been having some conversation about disciplinary probation in 16.5. At the last meeting, we talked a little bit about the definition of disciplinary probation. There seemed to be some concern that it might be misused or it might be misinterpreted. So in our proposal, we are providing a definition of disciplinary probation. It would be defined as a period of time when an employee's performance or conduct is closely monitored due to a violation of the collective bargaining agreement. An employee on disciplinary probation will be provided with written notice detailing the reasons, duration, and required corrective actions. Do you guys have any questions or concerns or any discussion?
Do you have any comment on the definition? The languages.
I don't have any comment on the definition. No, I think we still probably need to have a offline conversation about it, though. And we could do that before we leave here today.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can resolve that here shortly.
Walk us and talk about it. Okay. Before we get into retirement, and we do want to have some discussion on retirement, but we have a couple of other articles that are outstanding that we feel like we need to have some follow-up discussion on. At the last meeting, I think, you all proposed that in Appendix A, in your Article 11, sick leave and overtime, you all proposed to strike the word sick leave from the exclusion of FLSA calculated overtime. And we got into a discussion about what other employees in the city currently have and their policies. And so I'm providing you with a copy of that personnel policy. It's Appendix A of the city's personnel policy. Letter D says all employees shall be compensated for overtime. Annual sick, compensatory holiday, and any other leave shall not count as hours worked for the purposes of computing overtime. So in your case, the only exclusion is sick leave. You guys, if you have annual leave or holiday or vacation, that is counted towards your 40 hours for overtime.
Okay, so for clarification, for non-police employees that work for the city, sick leave during a pay period is will be preventing them from securing overtime for those same hours used during that pay period?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if they use sick leave, those hours, sick leave, annual leave, compensatory holiday, and any other leave for other city employees.
Okay.
That does not count toward the 40 hours for the calculation of overtime.
Okay. So there was some information going around, which is why I brought it up. So, to make sure we had that, I appreciate the clarification on that. And knowing that now coming straight with clarification, I'm good on that.
Okay, good.
So because if what we're seeking is uniform with respect to them and us, We do have a little bit differences because we're under the contract
Mhm.
with respect to annual leave use during a pay period.
Mhm.
But to be clear though, so if we use vacation leave on our end still, it would allow us to secure
Those
overtime.
hours count toward overtime.
Just sick leave would not be for either group, either the city employees or the police employees.
Correct.
Okay. This is still something I see long-term. Hope we can have some change on.
Yeah.
Moving forward, though, I'm not ready to put energy towards that. I think there's a little bit more that I want to direct my energy towards, and I'm good on that. Just want to get some clarification from any others that have. Just give me one second.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I just announced that this is personally and to move forward in good faith with some other topics. I don't see this coming to a conclusion to involve sick,
Right.
and I'm good moving forward
Okay.
in this matter.
Agreed.
Great. There were some other changes to sick leave, your Article 21 for sick leave, and that was to add the catastrophic illness definition and increase the max hours, which we've already agreed to those proposals.
Yes.
Okay.
The only other item in sick leave in 21, Article 21, you had asked us to look into the retirement health care funding plan, which we did. I do have some information we want to share with you on that.
Okay.
Since this is something that is new to us, we're not familiar with, I asked Dustin, our internal payroll benefits administrator, to do some research, take a look at it. And he also reached out to our third-party administrator of interest. And they, after really giving it, I think, some careful thought and looking into it, they put this together for us so that we could better understand the pros and cons of the plan that you're proposing. It looks like it does have some advantages, clearly, but there are some primary concerns and limitations on page 2 of this document, including that it would require mandatory participation for future employees. So you could adopt it just for the police department employees, and there would be a one-time opt-out for current employees, but then going forward, it would be mandatory. And it looks like the contributions would also be set at a mandatory limit. So employees coming in would not have any flexibility to, number one, to opt out, and they wouldn't have any flexibility to decide on their contribution limits. So under the circumstances, it appears to be kind of a rigid structure and not really providing a very flexible benefit across the board to the employees. So at this time, we are not recommending, and our administrator is not recommending that we move forward. Dustin did also include some existing city benefits, just for your information. I'm sure you're aware of the HSA and obviously pension and Social Security, and then the voluntary defined contribution plan, the 457B, that you all can participate in. So all of those do offer, some avenues for retirement planning. Now, that's not to say that we wouldn't be considering something in the future. Not this year, but next year, we will probably be looking out to expand our benefits if necessary in different directions. We're always on the kind of lookout for better opportunities for our employees, and we're not saying that we are closing the door entirely, but at this time it just doesn't look like it's something that would be a very flexible benefit for our employees.
I appreciate the document and the work your team and Dustin put forth. It's probably going to take me a minute to look through it all and understand it rather than on the spot. Clearly, it wasn't the response I was hoping for right now. I would appreciate an opportunity to come back on our next meeting with this, unless anyone here has an immediate comment. I would just need to review it before I make a statement, if you guys would just afford me that. So.
No worries, absolutely. At the last meeting,
I'm sorry, I do have one quick question. On page 1, under overview,
yes,
in that last paragraph, where he acknowledged that the plan was well established and utilized across the country, particularly in fire and police departments, et cetera, et cetera. did he offer any explanation for why he thinks that is, if he doesn't think that it's a good idea for the city to?
I don't think so. I think that before he reached out to our third-party administrator, he reached out to your contact, who probably, kind of gave him this background information.
Okay.
That it's a plan that is widely utilized, especially in public safety, and we're acknowledging that.
Right.
But when we look at it from just kind of a benefit perspective, from an offering for employees, it just didn't appear to have any level of flexibility, really. So that's why our administrator is not recommending it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Next, last time you all proposed the $2,500 lump sums at 6 months. I think that was a new proposal that was put on the table. It was a partner to the academy tuition that we implemented 2 years ago. Both the academy tuition and the $2,500 lump sums were intended to be a temporary measure. We were in desperate times, and we were willing to put forth some desperate measures to get our recruitment numbers up where they needed to be. We've already talked about academy tuition. While we're not opposed to it, we are not willing to put it in the contract. We feel like, number one, we just don't need it right now. We're full. We don't have any openings at present. We would like to reserve the right to bring that back if it's necessary, but we're not willing to commit to it long-term in the contract. The $2,500 lump sums were intended to be only for a 1-year period of time. That was from 23 to 24. We were trying as quickly as we could to bring the entry-level pay step up as much as possible. So we all came together. We talked about, let's just eliminate the first step, start everybody at step 2, which is where they would have started at 6 months. And to get through the transition, we agreed to do that $2,500 lump sum at 6 months. That was a 1-year period of time by MOU. We did wind up extending it for an additional year because we were heavy into recruiting, and we were bringing in those recruits and making those promises, and it didn't seem right to allow the $2,500 lump sums for persons hired before September 30th and then not for those hired afterwards. So we agreed to go ahead and extend that for 1 more year. But it is not our intention to make that a permanent part of our pay plan. So given the movement that we made in the pay plan, we've had 2 midterm adjustments just over the past couple of years. And then with the big adjustment that we did last fall, we feel like the pay plan is competitive enough. The starting pay is strong, and we don't feel the need to implement those $2,500 lump sums. Okay. And I think the only other, besides retirement, the only other item we had was the corporal promotions.
Yes.
Reading these things is like watching paint dry. So I'll go ahead. What I did was pull PERC decisions, and I think I promised that I'd take a look at that and try to pull those for you at the last meeting. And so these are 2 cases, and they really don't really go into detail, but just state that the decision, and in these cases, it was the decision to appoint somebody, and I understand we're talking about time frames for appointment. But they said deciding, so I guess the first case is a Liberty County case, which is printed front and back. It's on the back side. Deciding whether to appoint teachers to a bus duty position is a management right. So I think the question of whether to appoint versus when to appoint is 2 sides of the same coin. And then the position, the point being there that when to appoint, or the time frame for appointing, is really the same thing as whether to appoint. And that's two cases that we wanted to get to you. The other one's the Dade County case, and I think that's also on the back of page 1. Decision to fill a vacancy as a management right within the meaning of 447-209. So I wanted to make sure that we got those to you, because I know I promised to pull those so you could take a look at them. And I know you don't want to chew on that, but.
So is the decision on your end to not set a timetable for, as we had requested, for appointing the test or the process?
And I don't want to speak out of turn. My understanding is that there was no interest in dilly-dallying around. If something needs to be filled, to act diligently. But as far as setting a time in stone, that's correct.
That's correct. I mean, there are certain things that are just out of our control, and we have to reserve the right, it's a management right, to make those promotions and hires based on the available candidates, conditions. There's a whole varying assortment of conditions that may come into play and that we may or may not have control over at the time. So no, we are not proposing to put any time limits on that.
I guess time will tell if that's the right decision. We both come here with good intentions behind our sides. Again, it's discouraging to hear the decision as far as timetables not being set, because a timetable will give our folks a knowledge-based decision to make for them in their futures and their careers, to keep an open position, not to challenge the management rights of our current chief or any future chiefs, but it could cause morale issues on the police officer side for those who have worked hard in their careers and want to advance, or now held in a loophole or limbo rather for that opportunity. So again, I disagree with the decision. I think it will, again, time will tell if this matter comes up before us. The tape is the proof of, we could have done something about it and it wasn't done. But I sit here not, welcoming to that news, but I hear your side as well. I respect management rights on many other issues as well. This is one I just have a disagreement with. That's my piece. I don't know if anyone on the table has a statement attesting to that. Is there any current conversation anyone would like to have with respect to? I don't know if we are going to see it the same. I think this is a decision that's completely, we're not going to have any leeway one way or the other. So I don't know if right now is the time to push this any further. But if anyone else has comments, I'd glad to hear them.
I would say this just boils down to material right versus management right. I do 100% understand that management has that right for promotions to kind of dictate the process, but it has been repeatedly said year over year by the city side that corporal promotion is the reason that the top out officer pay is lower than the industry standard. We do find ourselves far below neighboring agencies, with the explanation always given that we have that corporal position. We have that room to grow. So by essentially holding that corporal position hostage, which has been done recently for almost a year, you're not providing that room to grow. So again, this just, I really think, boils down to, not to belabor the point, but it's more of a material right versus that management right. And just trying to find some common ground. We understand that there's always going to be those situations. We understand why Chief Smith may have held that position for a year, like he did recently. We were down 11 people. It's hard to, scrape the side of a pot to put a corporal together. No offense, I'm not saying you're scraped by the pot.
Oh, you did.
But understand that to make that promotion is going to hurt. There's that downstream effect, to pull an officer. My unit was one of the ones that was actually decimated by the staffing situation. So I just think that, the scales on each side of material versus management, right? Maybe we can come to some middle ground. Maybe we can't. But tale as old as time.
Yeah, well, I just want to make clear that we don't have any interest in holding a position that's not for unnecessarily for any length of time. That doesn't benefit any of us. I can hear that you do understand in that particular situation there were extenuating circumstances, and the chief has to have that latitude and the ability to make decisions based on the cards that he's dealt, right? But if, at any point in time, you know, it does become a problem, and you know, we are always willing to work with you guys. I think we've had a good relationship in the past, and we can always come together and talk through these things. So it's just that we don't want to commit, and we don't want to waive a right to make those decisions in the best interest of the agency.
Yeah, my thought on it is, and I understand everything that you're saying, but my thought on it is there a length of time that's too long of a period of time? You know what I mean? Like how long, I mean, are we able to set something in a contract that says 12 months or 18 months or 24 months, or are we just going to have this? Because I can think of one agency right now has had this problem, and it's been ongoing for over 5 years.
Oh my.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I understand that. Of course, we don't feel that the chief would do something like that, and definitely not do it intentionally. But there's always that chance that it might not be him, it might be somebody else, or whatever the case may be. So to not have anything as opposed to having something is kind of where my thought is.
Again, you know, we are hesitant to commit to anything that might be a waiver of our management rights. Hopefully, and I know hope is not a strategy, but since our recruitment numbers are really good, I know that we are right now with the 3 new hires, we will have a corporal position availability coming up. Is that correct?
The test was posted. Unfortunately, candidates dropped out. It was recently reposted.
Okay.
So
So-
then I believe there may be a hiccup in that, which may delay that test. Again, all extenuating, all
Yeah.
first time in my career type things. But yes, this obviously being fully staffed does help Chief Smith's position, making the promotions more. But, you know, to echo Scott's point, promoting is huge in somebody's career and their professional development. To be able to see that opportunity, that's something that can motivate somebody, can make them do that little bit extra to prepare themselves for that, and to have that carrot and that stick just continuously moved back, that can have such a demoralizing effect on the department. And as a supervisor, it's hard to have young, hungry officers who are interested in professional development, interested in that promotional track, to have that opportunity, I don't want to say ripped from them, but that can just every time, you know, it's within reach. It's like the old insurance commercial, the guy with the dollar, almost had it. It's almost there, and it can really have, so much so that some people can be pushed away. Good candidates can. So that's just what we're trying to avoid. And again, I'm the super pessimist. I know now, I don't know 5 years, I don't know 10 years. I don't know, we could have the most gut-wrenching, horrible chief as the next chief after Chief Smith, and once you and Mike decide to retire, we could have the most horrendous city management, and it is nothing but a knockdown, drag out between every employee and city management. That's the way, I hope it never goes.
Wow, that's a
the way
grim picture you're painting there.
That's the way my pessimistic mind works.
Yeah.
So that I'm just trying to, I don't want to say prevent that, but maybe it's just creating a problem that hopefully never exists. I'm well known for that. But like I said, just hopefully trying to convey our thoughts on the why for each of these articles.
Yeah, no, I understand, and again, we're in a much different situation right now than we were a year ago with recruitment, and you know, I don't want to project a crisis when right now doesn't appear to be one. So I would like for us to give it some time. We don't have any interest in unnecessarily delaying that. I know the chief doesn't. We all want to see those promotions happen and those employees develop and grow and get them moved up as quickly as we can. So respectfully, only because we revisit it if it becomes a problem, but I don't see that it is a problem right now. Is there anything else before we move on to retirement?
No.
So before we talk about this table on the first page, we do have two proposals to follow in two provisions in Article 29. In 29.3, we are proposing to raise the cap to 110. And in 29.8, we are proposing to raise the backdrop interest from 3% to 3.5%. That said, I do want to talk about this spreadsheet. So when we talked with you all last time, I heard you say that you wanted to have your members, provide them with the information and let your members kind of consider and decide what was most important to them. And we've talked a lot about COLA and the city's position on COLA. You, Sergeant Cohill, I believe, said, let's see what it looks like. Perhaps our members would be willing to pay a little bit more. Let's run it up the flagpole and see how it flies. So we did have some actuarial analysis performed. So I do want to start at the top. There's note 1. The actuarial valuation, the most recent one that goes into effect October 1 of this year, that in this analysis has been adjusted to for the new pay scales that went into effect last August, and for the addition of 4 new active members. So that $1,047,000 that the city is set to contribute according to that actuarial valuation has now been increased to $1.1 million. And that's just for the commitments that we've already made. Note 2, in your proposal for retirement for the COLA, there's a gap between 2000 and 2005. I have it highlighted here if you want to take a look at that. So we had to make some assumptions to get this analysis done. We assumed that the 1% COLA would apply to all employees hired on or before 10/1/2005 as opposed to 2000. You see what I'm talking about?
My apologies.
Yeah. So in order to get this going, we had to make that assumption. So it starts really at 2005, not 2000. Okay? So what you are looking at in that baseline column on the left, that is the adjusted contribution requirements today. That is that actuarial valuation adjusted for the 4 new active members and the new pay scales. And you look at the bottom line there, the adjusted base city contribution is $1.1 million. The city's proposal that I just handed you all is for to raise the pension cap to $110,000 and raise the backdrop rate to $3.5 million. The results of that, if you look at the employee portion, remains at 7.95%. The city's portion raises, city and chapter combined portion raises to 24.91%. Assuming that the chapter contribution remains the same, that increases the city's contribution to nearly $1.3 million. That is an increase of $189,000. That's over the adjusted contribution. That's actually $230,000 over what we have been provided in the current actuarial valuation. The second, number 2, FOP proposal, that is your proposal to remove the pension cap, to raise the backdrop rate to 6%, and to implement the 1 to 3% compound COLA with a 10-year temporary. The total cost to the city, if the city funded that proposal, would be an additional $739,000 per year. for a total contribution of 1.8. As an additional option, we asked to see what it would look like if the city funded the $110,000 pension cap, the 3.5% backdrop rate, and the employees funded the COLA, your COLA proposal. And the cost to the employees would be an additional 4.43% of their pay. And that's for a COLA that for members hired before 2005 would only be 1% COLA. Right?
So we're saying everybody would be 1%?
Is your COLA proposal?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. To fund this COLA proposal for those members who started on or before October 1 of 2005,
Okay.
it would be 1%, and then it would tier upward, right? 1.5, 2, that's your proposal.
Okay.
That would cost your employees an additional 4.43% of their payroll, and the maximum COLA that anyone would ever receive would be 3% for a 10-year period. So, I mean, it's a staggering cost. The cost for the COLA and the cost to eliminate that cap are profound. So that's why at this time we are not proposing any COLA, and we're not proposing to eliminate the cap. We recognize that we are going to have to raise the cap. That's the downside of putting a hard cap in place is you do have to revisit it every few years. You've got to make sure that it makes sense, and we are willing to raise it to 110. But to remove the cap would just be cost prohibitive. If you look down at the bottom, the total employee deductions, currently your employees are paying 15.6% out of their paycheck for pension, Social Security, and Medicare. If you added an additional 4.43% to that, that puts them over 20%, and that's before federal withholding for a COLA of 3% maximum. So we didn't put forth any proposal that includes a COLA because, frankly, I would rather that come from you if that's something your members are willing to pay for. But we just feel like you can't, in good conscience, ask your employees to contribute these kinds of dollars out of their paycheck for this kind of a benefit. And your employees, our employees, all of them, are enjoying a dual benefit in retirement that not every agency has. Not a lot of agencies do have Social Security and a defined benefit pension plan.
Well, the only one in Northeast Florida that does is JSO. Everybody else does.
I don't think FRS does.
Yeah, I pay Social Security at St. John's,
I don't think
7%.
But I don't think FRS does. Is that correct?
I believe FRS does.
FRS
does.
Yeah.
I think it was only afforded to eligible for private funded pensions.
So that's where we are. We've been talking about pension for as long as I can remember, but we feel like our pension benefit is competitive. It's strong. Our employees are paying in. I think 7.95% is a good rate for the benefit that they get, but considering that they're also paying into Social Security and they're going to be able to draw Social Security, which does have a COLA associated with it, we feel like there's just, it would put an unnecessary burden on the employees to expect them to pay in more for a COLA. And certainly the city cost is already, on its way. It's at higher numbers now than it was before we did pension reform in 2014. We do not want to come back to the table and have to talk about pension reform. We have to make sure that we maintain a sustainable plan. We're seeing kind of all-time highs right now, which, we've had a lot of movement in the pay scales. Pension costs are going to go up. And there are also things that are just out of our control, variable assumptions that every year are subject to change. rate of return was just lowered. So that's likely to have an impact on the city contributions as well. So we feel like raising the cap is reasonable, and raising the backdrop rate, we feel like we can get that up a little bit to 3.5%, and still maintain a responsible, sustainable plan.
It takes a lot out of you because you look long term and you look across the state of Florida where other agencies are receiving these things. And I don't want to compare apples to oranges with respect to their budgets and their money and what's going on in their agencies. But this makes it seem like this will always be an issue that will be pushed. And the goal today was to try to get movement on that. And I understand that money's not just going to grow on trees and has to come from somewhere. But these guys and gals that wear this uniform are looking for a retirement package in addition to what we have right now. And it's my goal that someday a COLA is a reality for them, because there's other agencies that make it work. So the goal is us long term to come to a conclusion somehow to make COLA a reality. Body cams are coming, and they soon will show you all and members of the public what we deal with on a daily basis. But each one of us that worn the uniform, our body cams are in our minds right now. We live with the images and the attacks and the threats. And the goal, and I'm not trying to get sappy here on you, is to reward that behavior in retirement. Because I know a lot of police officers in South Florida and abroad are dying through health issues and are experiencing PTSD at a much more alarming rate than ever before. Years ago, you were told to suck it up, don't talk about your feelings. PTSD is not real. But there's officers now that are dealing with it in their retirement, and it's taking a toll on their families. And when I hear that COLA is not a reality, that's what I'm getting here, it just makes me wonder, when will it be? And I hope that someday we can prioritize it, because we're going to start seeing a lot more officers leave the profession because of the issues that are coming upon us. More is asked of police officers today than ever before. They've always been first responders in our community, but it's taking a toll on folks. And our goal is to not have this always come up as it's not realistic. And I look at the numbers, and I know you see it too, and we're not naive to that. The money has to be right. But my goal is to somehow we can address this. If it needs to be a singular issue on a contract, so be it. But I hope that one day, just like so many other things I feel important about, is that it is a reality for the guys and gals that work in Jacksonville Beach. And I'm willing to keep working on that with y'all in the future. I think everyone on the table, I don't want to speak for anyone, but I think we all share that sentiment. This gentleman right here is the most well-versed and knows the numbers more than I. So for him to, I'm not going to be that person right now in my current position to combat what you just presented me. I read it. But I know David has a lot of insight as well. And I hope that we do see common ground and we do make it a reality. I don't know the timetable for that, but I wanted that known to the city. I know you guys support us, but we want to feel it too with the reality of it. So.
Well, I don't think there's any question that we support you. I mean, we 100%. I think that we've shown that.
Yeah.
I think we have worked with you in a lot of areas, especially wages, over the past couple of years. And we continue to work with you on the pension plan. But the reality is the costs are quickly becoming something that's going to be unsustainable if we don't manage them properly.
Yeah.
And you may want to go back and talk with your members and ask them if they're really willing to pay more into their pension plan so they can have a COLA. I would be very concerned about committing future employees to these kinds of contributions. I think that may cause us some heartburn in the long term with recruitment and retention. They're not going to want to come in here and pay in 20% of their pay for retirement. That's before federal withholding and any other deductions that they may have.
So we go to trainings with other guys and gals from different agencies, And again, I'm comparing apples to oranges, but there is something that sticks out to us, is that there's other departments that have plans in place where they contribute 3%, for instance, FRS, and I have some buddies in St. John's. They contribute 3% of their pay. They do contribute about 7% to Social Security, so they're paying for that, so they'll receive that benefit too. They have now reinstituted the COLA through the state of Florida, and their cap for a patrol officer is $150,000 as of right now in the Florida retirement system. So these guys and gals are paying 4.95% less per paycheck. They do have a defined benefit with a Florida retirement system, which is one of the best in the state of Florida, or I mean, excuse me, the nation, as far as police retirement packages, well funded. And their contributions are 3%. For years, prior to 2011, it was 0. That was great. It raised to 3%. It made a stink, but that 3% has been consistent ever since 2011. So that's why our retirement package is not their retirement package, but there are going to be younger folks who take retirement seriously that may opt for other departments. JSO is still to see if that FRS will become a reality. And a lot of young people, that's the sad thing, a lot of young people don't look at retirement right away. They want to go out and run and gun and do the cool police stuff. But times are changing and people are becoming more well-versed with respect to pay and benefits and research when they onboard and they select an agency to go work for. So I will commit to do the research to make COLA a reality. I'd like more time to look at these numbers.
Mhm.
And David, do you have anything right now you'd like to?
No, I
Okay.
concur
Yeah.
with your sentiment.
So we'll leave that right there, and then when we come back, we'll have a statement then. But thank you for your time in making this package.
Absolutely.
We will review it when emotions lie down, and we can truly
Yeah.
digest it. So thank you for that.
Is there anything else?
I
today?
don't think
No?
we had anything else.
We were still interested in the feedback with wages and the shift differential. I have not heard anything on those.
Wages, we're going to stand on our proposal until we can resolve, again, at the package, we need to resolve pension, we need to work out everything else. On shift differential, we don't have any movement on that right now. I do appreciate you all coming back last time with a somewhat reduced proposal. But we feel like we've had so much movement and increased wages by so much over the past couple of years that we don't feel like we're in a position where we really need to add any additional pays.
I'm gonna get sappy again. So there's guys and gals that work 6 days in a row, 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. And these guys and gals have families at home, children. And for 6 days in a row, the head of that table is empty because they're here working at night. They don't have the ability to choose a day shift spot. They take on that spot because they're needed. So when I hear that it's not welcoming right now, I'm saddened to hear that because their families are impacted by that. And for 6 days a week, they can't have dinner with them. They can't tuck their kids into bed. They can't deal with the stuff that they need to deal with as a father or a mother. And that benefit would be greatly beneficial to the morale of these guys. I thought we would have movement on that issue. I think that I have shown understanding on many things, and this hurts to hear that because I take that personally. All the other stuff I understand, but I would hope that this is something that can become a reality. And to hear that it's not available, I understand wages have gone up. Wages have gone up for other people too. And the market is competitive, and we are fully staffed, and that's a good feeling. But our chief has a good staff that is committed to the city of Jacks Beach. They're not running, they're staying. And yeah, I've listened on the health saving thing, that hurt, but I understand. The wages, okay, we're at the 5.4 wage reopener. The retirement cap is 110, and then some other movements we've made. But to hear this one, to not get any decision to increase that. Even Neptune Beach has 1.75, and they're asking to go up to 5. School War Police has a 5% shift differential. And I mean, if you look at private sector jobs, particularly in the hospitals, they understand the importance of shift diff. I beat it to a dead horse, the importance of that. Since Jacksonville Beach's starting here, shift differential has never existed. The time is now. And to hear that it's not even an idea on this table, that hurts. I mean, what is 2% cost right now? Because I started with 4 and we came down to 2%. We eliminated positions that would be included in that. We eliminated shift differential on overtime. We got to the meat and potatoes of who it would benefit. And if these are the positions that impact their lives, their quality of lives. Law enforcement is a calling, it's a noble profession, but you have no choice on where you go. So the folks that work a shift on day shift are allowed to have that normal family life, but they wouldn't receive this benefit. This benefit would be to those who are impacted by it. So 4% down to 2% is cutting in half. And that would put us in line with other agencies surrounding us. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has it. Neptune Beach has it. Other agencies in our area have it. Do you know on the top of your head what that cost would increase? I think it's, off the top of my head, 24 to 30 members max.
I don't off the top of my head now.
Okay. So we'll do the math and we'll present that and to see what those totals would be. But on everything that we've talked about, this one, I'm not happy with that response. And I'll leave it there. Isn't it? Yeah.
No, we could just echo what Scott's saying about the importance of taking care of those, everybody, but especially those that work at night when we are all resting comfortable in our beds, and they're not able to do that because they're out with the people who your grandma warned you about. Don't be out there at night with those people. But so we can just echo what Scott just said on that.
Yep. So I submit back that we are still interested in a minimum of 2%. We'll run the numbers. We'll bring them back to y'all. I don't think doing a caucus now is in the best interest because I don't think we're going to get anywhere. I'll need some time with my team to revisit some things. Unless you have anything to add to this today.
Go ahead and TA that one, or do you want to hold off?
Which one was it?
The very first one.
Union business representatives.
Yeah, if you guys are okay with that, we're okay with
Sure.
that too.
I think,
Article 5. Oh, yeah, we did have a question about that.
There may just we need to have one little provision added in there. Provided a bag of 100 hours of union time pool per calendar year to be shared by the employee. If we can add in there of union time pool per calendar year on January 1, so that we know that the 100 hours is funded on January 1 and not if the city says, well, we're going to spread it out over the year, or we're going to, or you know, you can even put the first full pay period in January, just so that we have an established date of when it's going to be funded.
Sure. How about the first full pay period of January?
That's usually
Okay.
That's usually an
just
easy
for
way for payroll.
administration, I think that would be easier. So funded on the first full pay period.
Yeah, and then the same thing with the rollover, just so that we have an established date of when
First full pay period following January 1. And I'm sorry, what did you say, Mark?
the same thing for like the rollover, just so that we have an established date. Same thing, you know, or it could even be, as long as it's understood that it would happen at that same time.
What do we need on the rollover?
Same day.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Let's see,
I guess we won't be TA until.
Hey, I thought we were gonna get something done today.
No.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mark.
We're good with that. We're good.
Not yet.
I assume it would roll over on December 31st, right?
Right, the unused portion of it up to 50 hours rollover.
Do a calendar year.
The union may roll over up to 50 unused hours as of December 31st of each year.
Yes.
Do y'all want to go ahead and TA it, or do you want to wait until we can clean up the language and bring it back?
I just complained that, we were gonna TA on something and you pulled it out of my hands.
I think we both agree on that language, so if
We do agree.
we can pen and ink it, I'm good. So
Okay,
let's leave on a positive note.
yeah,
Let's do that.
absolutely.
And let me, just on a personal note while she's doing that, my son, we were talking about this, my son, who's now 40, when he was 20, I've got a picture in my office. He's 20 years old, he's on the streets of Baghdad. He's an army officer, or a sergeant, going door to door, looking for bad guys. So I completely understand, you know, the idea of PTSD. We don't even talk about it because, what he went through. So, and my stepdad was a U.S. Marine in Korea and in Pacific in World War II, who then told my son, "You're not going to war. That's not a war. Korea was a war." So Guadalcanal was a war. So, well, they're shooting at you. It's a war. So I completely, appreciate what you do.
Yeah. You'd be surprised at the people that don't, though.
No, I do appreciate it.
Finish
Yeah.
one.